So you've probably focused a lot on the things that you say in your content, but an important part of engagement might be how fast you say things. And what's right depends on what type of content that you're producing. Now, your words are just one layer of the information that you transmit to your audience. The way that you deliver that information is part of that entire message, the package of everything together. So thinking about the musical element of your voice can add extra depth and enhance the understanding of the things that you're saying. Now, it's a part of your identity that an audience interprets subconsciously, especially if you're delivering audio-only content like in a podcast. Things like persuasiveness and trustworthiness, emotion and confidence are all things that are communicated this way. Now, one part of the larger picture is how fast or how slow you speak. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about this one element, which is speed. I will show you some tech that you can use to find out how many words per minute you speak and why knowing that will help you. And I'll also show you a way that you can change your words per minute without changing your natural speech at all. So you won't even need to think about it. It might be a helpful option to have. Now, in the next episode later this week, I'm going to get into the psychology of your audience regarding vocal delivery, including a paper that studied a comparison between human delivery and AI delivered news reports, as well as some specific drills that you can perform to help you adjust your speech and add more variety. This is the tech edition of Human Internet Theory, and in this show we learn how to produce content for digital delivery and some of the topics that are happening in the world of AI and online delivery. I'm your host, Jen DeHaan, and I've spent decades in software and education and more recently in performance and comedy. Now, before we get into the tech you can use to find your own vocal baseline of speed, we will look at why the speed of your talking even matters in the first place. Now, it's important to understand the context so you can apply this information effectively. So different speech rates are normal for different communication contexts, and it often depends on the primary goal of your content. Your goal might be comprehension, or your goal might be engagement, or viewer retention and entertainment, or delivering dense amounts of information. So let's look at a comparison of speech rates first. And just as a note, the metrics here are for the English language. So conversational speech, this is generally between 120 to 150 words per minute, or WPM. Presentational is very similar. It's between 100 and 150, and this is a common baseline for speaking in general. So 120 to 150 WPM is a good speech rate for instructional content and tutorials in particular. Now, the primary goal of this content is to be clear and to just transfer knowledge from person A to person B. Complex and technical information requires more mental processing time for the audience or more cognitive load. So a deliberate and well-paced delivery with really effective pauses is important to understand and retain those details. And just speaking too quickly can overwhelm people listening, which doesn't help if you're trying to pass along information. So audiobooks and podcasts are often between 150 to 160 WPM, and this is a target for many hosts who want to sound engaging and energetic. So my videos and podcasts tend to be around the upper range of this category. But of note, many people who listen to audio content using tools, podcast and audiobook tools in their apps, they can speed up the listening rate using the software to above this. But that's about what you want to hit for a regular playback before people might speed up your voice. So you want to be really clear at this regular rate with this in mind that somebody might turn it up to 1.5 or 2x speed. So stage presentations like TED Talks, these are typically between 165 to 175 WPM. Now, these are often more energetic and persuasive forms of speaking. They use a lot of enthusiasm to convince you of a point. Now, these types of presentations are often conveying passion and urgency or just being really excited about whatever the topic is. But as long as you are clear, if you're giving a presentation like this, the faster pace can make someone also feel really credible and smart. That's why they do it. That stage energy is often more performative than delivering to a camera, for example. So in that regard, things might be a little bit faster as well. So I'll also just mention that presentations of auctions, like auctioneers and commentators, this is an extreme example, but they can actually speak at 250 to 400 words per minute. So this gives you an idea of what's possible in the human range, or maybe what's needed for a character if you're working on a performance, something in the entertainment space. So you might want to be strategic about your speaking rate, as long as it makes sense to you to do so. It's your whole presentation still needs to come across as genuine and not this forced thing that you're trying to do. And more importantly, you might need to vary your rates depending on what you're doing within whatever feels natural for you. And you might be doing this in the same video or podcast or presentation. For example, when I'm delivering specific numbers, I might need to slow down a bit. But if I need to, say, convince you that something is really important to me, I might speed up to show that I'm really passionate about this thing. And that variation is what makes information easier for the audience to understand. And hopefully it also comes across as authentic, and because of that, more engaging. So how fast do you speak? How do you even figure that out? So you can benchmark your speech by creating a transcript and then working out your words per minute based on that transcript. So let's look at how to do that. We're going to get your vocal baseline in this example. So before you can improve or change or adjust, you need a clear assessment of like what your natural tendencies are, or where you're at. So the first step of this is to take a video, something that you feel is a good baseline for the work, the stuff that you're doing. So now we're going to get into the tech, but before we do, check out humaninternettheory.com and join the free newsletter that I have there so you can get updates about our industry and the new resources that I make available for you to use. So this is Turboscribe.ai, and this tool is an online version of a transcription tool, and it lets you do a few free transcriptions every day. And there's other options for subscribing if you want. So I'm just going to try it out here. And you can just drag and drop your file into here. And then after you've dropped your file in there, you can pick your audio language, you can pick your transcription mode. I do most accurate for the purposes of this exercise. And then you can pick additional features if you want, but we won't need them for this exercise at all. So when you're done, click transcribe and it's just going to start doing its work. And you'll see a green check mark when it's done. All right, and with the magic of video editing, we're done. So we have our duration here, 1 minute and 37 seconds. We're going to get how many words we spoke when we export the transcript as a text file. So there's a bunch of options here, but we want the text one. So let's download that file. You're going to see something that looks like this, depending on your operating system. There'll be some extra text at the beginning and the end that you'll need to remove. But then that's going to give you just what you said in that video or MP3 file. Then you can put this into any text counter, word counter. You can get them online. You can open up an app that does this for you. So I'll just open up what I use. All right, so I've opened this up in Obsidian, which is a text editor that I use, and this gives me the word count right at the bottom. So in that amount of time, I spoke 203 words. So I'll just show you one more thing. This is a local app that I have installed. It's a Mac-only application. It's called Whisper Transcription, and you can buy premium levels, but I'm just showing you the free version that I have currently installed right now. So I'm going to do the same file again. So all you do is you drag your file on top of the application. I'm dragging the trailer onto the application. So it has transcribed this document. And then I'm going to click this button up here, which is what you use to export the files. And you want to, it shows you your different options up here. I'm just going to export the transcript. So you just click export file and you save it and you're done. So that's all you need to do for that. And then you can go through the same process there and just open it up in a word counter and get your word count. Okay, so now we need to do a little bit of the math. So we're going to take the words and divide them into the minutes that I spoke. And I actually remember that in this trailer, I have some music in there. So it's going to be a little bit slower than my actual speech. But for the case of an example, it will still work. So we have 1 minute and 37 seconds. You're going to have to do a little bit bit of math in that. That's 1.6 minutes or so. So you can do the number of seconds divided into 60 to find out how many minutes that is. So that's 1.6 minutes approximately. So then you're just going to do 203 words divided into 1.6 minutes equals roughly 127 words per minute. So kind of slow, but again, there's a little bit of music in that trailer as well. So now repeat the process for any other video that you want to get your baseline for. So you'll want to repeat this with other types of content that you create, like conversational shorts or passionate opinion pieces, to get a baseline for each style so you kind of know where you're at. Now, if you want a simpler method, there are tools online that let you do a WPM speaking speed test. And if you don't have video samples to work with, this might be the best option for you. So you can read a provided text and then it will calculate your speed. So knowing your WPM is useful in other ways too. So if you figure out your average WPM, you can more accurately estimate the length of your videos when you write a script. There are online calculators to help you do this. It's really quite easy. This can help you set your teleprompter speed as well if you use one that doesn't have voice recognition technology built in. Now, after you have your numbers, review your recordings and do a rate comparison. Is your scripted reading WPM significantly different from your conversational WPM? Like, many people speak faster when they're passionate and unscripted, actually. So the goal is to bring some of that natural energy into a more structured delivery for certain pieces of content. So now that you have that baseline, what if you want to speed up or slow down your speech without forcing a really unnatural rhythm while you're recording? Video editors let you do this, so you can change it without having to think about this in your head, and it might help you out a little bit. So I do this sometimes when I feel like I'm just speaking too slowly in a recording. So you could work out the WPM that you want to have, or you can just change the video to whatever sounds right to your ears. You can use tools in your editor at that point to adjust the length without changing the pitch of your voice. So this lets you focus on just speaking clearly, and you can go slow if you want during the recording, and then you can fix the pacing in post-production. So I'll give a quick demo here of how this works in DaVinci Resolve, but many other editors have similar tools and they work fairly similarly. All right, so here we are in DaVinci Resolve, and what we're going to do is we're going to speed up this clip without adjusting the pitch of the speech. So if you want to talk a little bit faster or a little bit slower in a section, this is how you do it for a clip. So you take the clip here, you'd right click, and you change clip speed up here in the menu. However, this will look different depending on what you're using to edit your video. For example, in some of the apps on your phone, you might be using something with like a turtle and a rabbit to speed things up or slow things down. So in here, you just adjust the speed. So if I want to increase it by, say, 10% here, I'm going to ripple the timeline and you click change. You'll see a little icon pop up and you can always go back. It's not destructive. So you can go back to change clip speed. You can see that it's still 110%. So you can make it faster. You can put it back to your regular speech and so on. So now you have a baseline and an idea of how you want to work on your delivery speed. And in the next episode, I'm going to go more in depth on this particular topic. We're going to talk about the psychology of your audience regarding vocal delivery, including a paper that studied a comparison between human and AI delivered news reports and some specific drills that you can perform to help you adjust your speech and add more variety in more ways than just speed. We'll go through the musicality and everything else. In the meantime, you can check out some of the resources I've mentioned in the description below and might be on the screen right here or shortly, and I'll be back later this week for the next episode. Bye for now.